Okay. All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here. You are with the Shasta-Cascade SBDC for the opportunities for minority, veteran, and women-owned businesses. And we can go to the next slide. So before we get started, I just want to give you a little information, a disclaimer about this webinar. The information provided in this webinar and any supplementary materials provided to registrants are intended for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute professional, financial, or legal advice. No registrant should act or fail to act on the basis of any material contained in this webinar without obtaining proper financial, legal, or other professional advice specific to their situation. The Northern California Small Business Development Center and its host, the Cal Poly Humboldt Sponsored Programs Foundation, specifically disclaims any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the information presented in this webinar. Next slide. Okay, so these are our presenters, myself, Ashley Tate, Bryan Rheem, and Lonnie Lott. And we can go to the next slide. Now, before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that if you have any questions or any of that, there are going to be lots of time at the end to answer those questions. So please be sure to leave any questions you have during the presentation in the chat section, and we will go through some of those questions at the end. For our agenda today, we're going to be talking about the introduction of the Small Business Development Center, what the SBDC is, available benefits for minorities, veteran, and women-owned businesses, targeted funding opportunities, and how the SBDC can help you. Next slide. All right, and next slide. And so for the intro to the SBDC, we're going to talk about the history, some facts and goals, some testimonials so that you guys can see how the SBDC can help you, and then how we can help your business specifically. We're going to talk about the consulting services and webinars and training available. Next slide. Okay, so the Shasta-Cascade Small Business Development Center is a confidential, no-cost advisory and low to no-cost training services. And this is a program of the Cal Poly Humboldt Association. And then also this specific webinar is in partnership with the Better Business Bureau. And they are a nonprofit that helps businesses by helping consumers find businesses and charities that they can trust. So they've been around for over 100 years and are dedicated to building trust between businesses and communities. Next slide. All right, so the Shasta-Cascade Small Business Development Center, these are just a few facts about us. We've done over $19 million in loans and equity investment, $8 million in annual sales and increases just as our own center, 5,100 hours of advising at no cost, 4,000 plus entrepreneurs counseled and trained, and then 1,400 jobs were created and saved during the years of 2017 to 2021. And we've had over 65 plus new business starts. And this is in the Shasta and Trinity counties of California. Next slide. So as an intro to the SBDC, there are 36 counties in the NorCal SBDC region alone, and we've increased sales for our clients by $193,961,815, and we've had over $492 million in capital infusion loans and equity investments for our clients. So you can see how working with the SBDC can be very helpful to your business. Next slide. So as a testimony, I just want to read this out from Strive for Epic for Sarah Wallace, one of our local advisees. And basically she says, my business advisor was an amazing catalyst for getting me to officially start my business idea. After meeting with him, I felt equipped with knowledge of the exact steps I needed to take to get up and running. And I appreciate his consultation and everything the SBDC has to offer. It's nice knowing that being an entrepreneur doesn't mean you have to go at it alone. So thank you for all you do. And that's really our goal here at the SBDC, is to walk alongside you as you start a business. Next slide. So here are a few ways that we can support our entrepreneurs and small businesses. We offer one-on-one consulting. We offer webinars and trainings just like this, both in person and online. We offer funding assistance, and we work in partnership with the SBA to kind of help guide you through that process as well. And next slide. Oh, sorry. Yeah, don't. Okay. Here are a few things that you might want to know too. So we're going to talk about who our consultants are, what's the cost, how does that work, and what you can do to get started. Next slide. So these are just a few of the advisors that we offer in our local area. And in your local area, you'll have many different advisors available to you as well, with access to 40 additional subject matter experts throughout Northern California for our specific area. But in your area, you also have access to many different advisors that have access to subject matters, different subject matters. Sorry about that. Next slide. Okay, so how can we help you through webinars and trainings? Some of the trainings that we offer are how to start your business, disaster relief loan updates, QuickBooks desktop beginner series, owning and investing in real estate for small businesses, and so many other types of webinars and trainings. Next slide. Okay, so how can we help you with funding assistance? So we can help you by staying up to date on the changing loans available for your business, which is part of what we'll be talking about today. We can talk to you and give you filing guidance, business loan applications, investor packages, and crowdfunding campaigns. Next slide. All right, so today I'm gonna pass this on to Lonnie, and she's gonna talk about the available benefits for minority, veteran, and women-owned businesses.
Thank you, Ashley. Great job. Thank you. And welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today to talk about what is out there regarding getting certified to become a minority, disadvantaged, underserved business. So the first place I want to start is that sometimes I'm asked, well, why should I do this? What's the difference? What makes supplier diversity a priority anyways? And there's lots of reasons, but ultimately, it combines the best of our desires for a better, more equitable world and the drive to be a competitive leader in the marketplace. And you're going to get a copy of our PowerPoint along with our notes attached to it. And so I have some deeper dive into each of these areas, but more equitable world is really thinking about that diversity businesses typically encounter some barriers that challenges their startup and sustainability efforts, such as access to capital, networking opportunities. And so really an effective supplier diversity strategy can help with those kind of painful startup points. Commercial advantages, we're finding that corporations and businesses that have a supplier diversity program where they are looking for doing business with certified minority, underserved, and disadvantaged businesses, that is a hiring point, and employees or individuals looking at going and maybe moving or going up their career ladder want to be aligned with that kind of equitable business. It's a social responsibility, and that means that we're really uplifting communities together. And so through job creation, increased wages, tax revenue, we are giving back to our communities and really lifting up across the board. Many corporations align their social responsibility value statements with providing supplier diversity programs. economic value. And I find this one really interesting, and I'm sure it's much higher than the figure that I have from 2018, but that's the one that I could find. And the SBA, the Small Business Administration, estimates there are 8 million minority-owned companies in the United States. And the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council, which is one of the national councils that does certification, reports that their certified MBEs, as they call them, generate over 400 billion in economic output that lead to a creation or preservation, which is as important, of 2.2 million jobs and 49 billion in annual revenue for local, state, and federal tax authorities. Now, those dollars are really high. And of course, we're compiling everyone together, but it does have economic value. And then in the future growth, they're estimating that between 2000 to 2045, there's going to be about a 70% of total increase in purchasing powers from the growing minority population. Next slide, Brian. So what I'm going to talk about are some of the preferences for a supplier diversity program. And then, and maybe I'll mention a couple of the targeted funding that are available for becoming a nationally certified underserved, underprivileged business. Go ahead. Next slide. Okay, so some of the terms that you're going to hear as I'm talking, and maybe when you read, I just kind of wanted to just touch on 4 of them. So diverse supplier, what does that mean? A diverse supplier is a business that is at least 51% owned and operated by an individual or group that is part of a traditionally underrepresented or underserved group. So that is the business, that's the supplier. And supplier diverse certification is the process that you go through to get certified that shows that the business is owned, managed, and controlled by that qualifying diverse group. And each of the national certifications have a certain percentage that that business has to be owned by that representation group. And procurement is the process of purchasing goods and services and is usually in reference to business spending. So you'll see that term quite often, procurement. Next slide. So when I was putting this together, I thought, okay, what are some of the questions that are probably rolling around in your brain right now as I'm talking? And especially if you haven't really ever ventured into seeing what this is all about, becoming a nationally certified underprivileged, underrepresented business, is it the right fit for your business? And any business that qualifies for certification can apply. It is a process. There is some fees involved, and then but we are finding that it's most beneficial for those businesses in industries that are going to or already contracting with the government. And that could be federal, state, local government, and larger corporations. However, any business that qualifies for certification can apply. And we're seeing more and more businesses starting to look for certification as an opportunity in their overall business planning strategy. Maybe they are looking at, growing or going into another state, or even going into government contracting, where maybe a few years ago that wasn't on their radar. And so as a business grows and matures, certification could be one of those those strategies that you want to then look for to give you a more competitive place in the marketplace. Is there a fee? Great question. Usually that's the first question I always get. While the SBA's online certification process is at no cost, Private organization fees range between $300 to $1,300 and then there may be an annual renewal. So, again, you're looking at this as a strategy. You're looking at this as part of your business model, and you're going to build in any fee and the time it takes into your overall projections, right? What will be required to apply for certification? Well, that varies by but overall the standards are you have to, first of all, meet the criteria to qualify. And as I go through the next slides, you'll see what some of the criteria is. You have to complete an application and provide the supporting documentation. And this is where we as the Small Business Development Center or a Women's Business Center can really assist you with not doing it for you. We always want to remind our clients, we don't write the application. We don't write your, tax forms, but we help you understand what's needed, how to gather it, where are the resources to assist you with putting that all together. So private support, providing supporting documentation, and it's like anything that you as a business are going to need to show. You're going to have to show your tax returns, your profit and loss and balance statements. If you're incorporated, your articles of incorporation, those kind of legal documents. You're going to need a Dun and Bradstreet number, often referred to as a DUNS number. No cost to apply for that. And the DUNS number is a unique 9-digit identifier for your company as being unique from any other Dun Bradstreet data cloud. It is used as a starting point for any company's live business identity. And then you go into getting a SAM and applying for, being SAM, the System for Award Management. And this is how the government pays you. So you're going to have to be a DUNS number, and then you're going to have to get a SAM number. So again, sites are free to register. We can assist you with walking through that process and making sure that you fulfill what they're looking for. And it can take a couple times because, they ask a lot of different questions and maybe you don't have all those, gathered together at the first time, but you can definitely start the process. Next slide, Brian. Okay, so what are some federal certification options out there to look at certifying? And the first one that we'd like to talk about, because it is part of the SBA, is the SBA 8A program. And this is for some small businesses that are interested in government contracting and getting an SBA 8A program certification helps improve the chances of winning bids, okay? So to qualify, your firm, your business must be 51% controlled by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, and that can be women, minorities, and veterans. And the disadvantaged program in the 8A offers you can compete for set aside and sole source contracts having this certification. You get a business opportunity specialist to help you navigate the federal contracting process. You can form joint ventures with established businesses through the SBA's Mentor Protégé program. And then you can receive management and technical assistance, including business training, consulting, marketing assistance, and high-level executive development. And I'm going to show you in another slide that we have a program within our SBDC network specifically for assisting with getting your SBA 8A certification. Then we have with federal certification through the VA.gov is the Veterans Administration. And this is the Vets First Verification Program affords verified firms owned and controlled by veterans and service-based veterans the opportunity to compete for VA set-asides. And these links will take you right to their websites, and where they have all the information, go deeper dive into everything that's involved. So if we had 3 hours, we could go through each of these, but we don't, thank goodness, because we'd be bored to death. So the final one that I want to talk about is the Minority Business Development Agency, the NBDA. And this is the federal agency that is solely dedicated to the growth and global competitiveness of minority business enterprises. Clients in U.S. minority business MBEs are owned and operated by all of these various minority businesses, and the programs offer customized business development and industry-focused services to provide them with a greater access to capital, contracts, and markets. So these are the federal certifications. Next slide, Brian. Now we get into the national private certification options. The first one is the National LGBT, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Chamber, and they provide assistance with getting the LGBT owned business enterprise certification. Again, you have to be 51% owned, operated, managed, and controlled by an LGBT person. And the certification has a host of opportunities to enhance an LGBT business visibility to corporations seeking to do business with the LGBT suppliers. Corporations can search for the certified LGBTBE, that's a mouthful, suppliers through the exclusive supplier database throughout the year, and they can meet face-to-face with potential suppliers at matchmaking events, they call them, which are held across the country. Certified LGBTBE suppliers may also be eligible for scholarship programs, mentorship, leadership training, and other business development tools. So again, if you fall into that underserved, underrepresented business classification, then this may be a national certification that you may want to look at obtaining, because it opens up the doors and aligns you with corporations that want to then do business and support that specific underserved group. The next one is the National Minority Supplier Development Council, and they help certify businesses that are 51% owned, managed, or controlled by a specific group. And again, some of the opportunities that come with that certification, you have increased capital access, you can have contract opportunities, they facilitate business connections between buying agents and MBEs, and then they have customized executive education. So again, if you were in that underserved group, this certification and an alignment with that council can really help you look for opportunities as that diversified supplier business. So they're not only helping you become certified, but then they're really helping you leverage that certification. The next one is the National Veterans Business Development Council, again, a private certification organization. You have to be 51% owned by a veteran, and they provide, again, opportunities to help align you with partners that want to support veteran suppliers. And then finally, the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. You have to be 51% owned, controlled, operated, and managed by a woman or women. And again, this certification is one of the largest, this council is one of the largest certifiers of women-owned businesses in the United States, and is a leading advocate for women enterprises. And then again, they help support you as a woman-owned business, help you understand how to leverage that certification, how to access corporations and that want to do business with certified certified women-owned businesses. And then the council is also the approved third-party certifier for the SBA's Woman-Owned Business Federal Contracting Program. And that Women's Own Contracting Program received more than $26 billion in federal contracts. So if you were a certified woman's own business and part of the SBA's Women-Owned Small Business Contracting Program, you might have been had access to federal contracts. Okay, so next slide. Now, what are some of the available benefits? And I was talking about, yes, they align you with corporations and they help you understand how to apply for those, opportunities as a certified minority underserved business. So here's examples of registration benefits from just a tip of the iceberg of corporations. The Challenger is a national initiative to boost government contracting opportunities for women-owned small businesses with a special focus on those women-owned small business federal contracting programs. Google Supplier Diversity is designed to connect more minority women, LGBT, disabled, and veteran-owned businesses to opportunities with Google. So if your business has products and services that Google might be interested in, or all of those businesses that are working with Google, then this might be something to look at. Once registered, you receive a listing of Google's diverse supplier database. If you're selected to work with them, Google will do their best. And I love this part because it's not the case with federal government. Pay you in 15 days because it's all about cash flow, right? Disney Supplier Diversity. They have a value of robust supplier diverse process, enables diverse suppliers to compete for sourcing opportunities. And then they facilitate a healthy fact-based dialogue between Disney and external interest groups. Costco, Amazon, all of those large corporations have diversity supplier programs. And then there are many other national, regional, and even local companies that offer supplier diversity options. So once you get certified, you can then dig deep, and your councils, if you went through one of the national councils, they will help align your business with where there might be opportunities for becoming part of their diversity programs. Next slide. And then I promise I'll pass it on to Bryan. So what are some of the available resources to help you with certification? I talked about the national councils. These are more under the SBA or the SBDC. NorCal VBOC, Empowering Veteran Entrepreneurship, is brand new, and it can assist with certification and recertification if you're a veteran-owned business. Their Boots to Business Training and Advising program, and then there's the link, so you can go in there and see what they offer. Formerly PTAC, PTAC as we used to call it in our internal language. Now it's called Apex Accelerators. It assists you with SAM registrations and other certifications to help guide you through doing business with the federal government. And then, of course, the small business development centers and women business centers, we provide that free to low-cost counseling and training, and can assist with certification, the paperwork needed, and how to leverage and promote your certification status. So, and then there is this resource here. This is a great resource. It's a good handoff as Bryan then goes in deeper into what's out there for loans and grants. The U.S. Council article has a listing of grants and resources. This was as of February 2022, that there is it's a running list of programs out there for both if you're certified or if you're not, grant opportunities, resources available to you. Okay, oof. And now it's your turn, Bryan. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lonnie. I'm going to talk about some of the targeted funding that's available for minority, veteran, women-owned businesses. And they are broken pretty much into two major categories. One is grants. And grants, that is the best type of money. That's free money. You don't have to pay them back, but they're highly, highly competitive. And then we also have loans that are targeted for women-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned businesses. As a small business, you obviously have access to all available grants that apply and loans that apply to small businesses, but this is taking an even narrower filter for the small business grant and capital opportunities for those that apply specifically to women-owned, minority-owned, or veteran-owned. So we're gonna dive right on in. The overall rule of thumb is to make sure that grants are legitimate. And so one of the best places to find legitimate federal grants is the only place to make sure it's legitimate is grants.gov. So if it's a federal grant and it's not listed on grants.gov, it's a scam. But grants.gov is a great place to start for federal grants because pretty much for all federal grants, they're listed there. And you can begin to see kind of what opportunities exist based on your business or industry. And so that's a website that you can periodically check and see if there are any grant opportunities available at the federal level. Again, a lot of this is based on your industry and your business. So some of them are going to be pretty specific. And then we see that in the next two bullets, the SBIR and the STTR. Those are pretty much specific to technology. And so those institutions really are focused on aligning small businesses with existing agencies and creating opportunities where small businesses can bring their value, bring their expertise, bring their product as part of a larger initiative. And so if you're in the tech space, if you're doing things regarding like pushing technology, you can kind of look at those grant opportunities, especially in the realm of innovation. So that's the SBIR and the STTR. And so I'm not going to go through all of these. You're going to get a copy of these slides and you can research them. The one thing I will say is grant opportunities come and go. And so it's really important if you do find a grant opportunity that you are eligible for, that you make note of the expiration date because they don't typically keep grants open indefinitely. Some of them are ongoing and reoccurring, but a lot of them I found they have kind of expirations or obviously when the grant funds are used up. What I really want to showcase is that there's a lot of grants for different industries and different types of businesses. And so Department of Commerce, if you are specifically a manufacturer and you deal with import-export goods, there are a lot of grants to help you as a small business compete with the larger organizations that can really leverage quantity and relationships that you might not have access to. Amazon is a very popular one. That's a small business grant by Amazon for small businesses. And Amazon also has a Black Business Accelerator program. And that includes not only grants, but training opportunities, mentorship, and things like that. And even MasterCard has an amazing grant called the Hello Alice Small Business Growth Fund. And so you can see the difference range from $4,000, $250,000 to $2,500 to $5,000. And that's what you'll find. Different grants, some grants are as small as $500. If you're in trade, there is small business export development. There's grants around there. Education. I have a client that is focused on air quality. And so they're looking into the EPA grants. And those are grants focused on anything regarding the health of US residents. And so that's a great one. If your product or services focus on anything regarding the environment or health of US citizens. Let's see. Agriculture as well. If your small business is focused on agriculture and especially rural communities. So and that could apply to multiple services. So if you are looking to extend services to a rural community or an ag community, you don't have to be in agriculture industry. That grant is actually for you The example they use on the website is if you're trying to extend utility like fast internet or Wi-Fi or cell phones or something, goods and services to more distant rural community, the USDA is actually posting up several grants to help you get services and infrastructure to the farming communities. And then there are obviously grants and funds specifically for the ag industry. One of the more popular grants for women-owned businesses is the AMBER grant. And that is, as it's become more popular, obviously it's become much more competitive. But it's specifically for women-owned businesses. And they have monthly grants, they have annual grants, they have industry-specific grants, and they give away a lot of money. As you can see, at least 30K monthly. And then in the end of the year, they have $25,000 grants at the end of the year. A success story they like to mention is one of the winners. She actually was able to raise a second round of investment after her AMBER grant, and she raised 70 million. So obviously these are highly competitive, scalable, and investable opportunities. So if you think you have an amazing idea that could be scalable and grow, AMBER grant is something you want to look into. Lonnie mentioned there's a lot of different agencies that help specifically with certification. NBDA is one that helps you navigate through the grant and loan process. They also sometimes are able to really streamline you to specific grant opportunities. So that's a great agency if you're interested in doing more of a coaching model where someone can also stand beside you. That's what we do here at the SBDC as well. First Nations is specific to Native American tribal type organizations. And there's the Asian Women Circle Giving Grant. So if you're an Asian American woman, it says artists, that's how it started out, but now they're beginning to extend beyond just artists. And anything you're doing that's positively impacting the community. And then FedEx, they just had their one of their quarter grants giveaways, the FedEx Small Business Grant. That's something that has been ongoing. It's an annual contest, and there's multiple prizes available, from a first place grant prize all the way down to discounted or free FedEx services. And so if you're making a lot of copies or you have a lot of shipping costs, that's something that you want to definitely participate in. And there are several that are open specifically to Black female small businesses. There's a Fearless Fund and the SoGal Black Founder Startup Grant. These are specifically for Black female, and we're the principal owner. And typically what Lonnie mentioned is always the case for small business ownership. Has to be at least 51% owned and operated / managed by the group that you're applying the grant for. There's a Women Founders Network Fast Pitch Competition. I've heard that is a super fun event, not just because you learn how to narrow in your pitch capability, but as far as a networking opportunity. And Capital One. Capital One has a 10K grant awarded to Black-owned businesses. Let's see, you can see there's a lot of, again, women-focused businesses like Enrich Her, the Etsy, and the Fearless Strivers. But there's also grants out there focused on the industry or the passion. So Patagonia, obviously, this listed here are nonprofits, but they have for-profit grants. Their main goal is focused on small businesses that are passionate about anything environmental related. So just because you might not think your industry is mainstream or what you're passionate about or doing is mainstream, there may be a grant funded by a larger business that is also in that same industry. Let's see, there's Tribal Energy. There is the Stand with Studios. Again, that's very industry specific for fitness studios. And then there's even something focused on beauty and wellness. So your industry, and there's a lot more than what I listed here. This is just to kind of give a flavor of what's out there. Your industry most likely has a grant that might be applicable. There are private foundations. And so if you know of different organizations or foundation groups, and your mission and core values align with theirs, typically they might have grant money set aside to help small businesses. They don't fund those. They don't publicly acknowledge those, or they don't post those online. But if you call and ask, there might be grant opportunities available. And then there are also unsolicited proposals and local grants. So you can always call, you can always ask, let them know, especially if there's, again, mission alignment, core value alignment. You can reach out to an entity and say, hey, I wonder if there's any money you set aside to help small businesses that are, and this is my situation. And then there are local grants, city or county related, they always come and go. And so you kind of have to be aware of what's happening. Here, our specific office is located in the city of Reading, and they've had several grants come out for small businesses. Most of them were related to COVID and disaster related, but they're always there. And so it's good to be in a place where you're receiving communication from the local jurisdiction, authority, government, city government, county government, because local grants always tend to come and go. Now, as I said before, there's funding opportunity, capital funding opportunities for small businesses. And that's something that our office can help you with. Any SBDC office can help you with your funding needs specific to small business. But there are also funding opportunities in terms of loans targeted to small businesses that are 51% owned by a veteran, woman, minority. And these are Fundbox. That's one that's we found is fast and flexible, and it also has a pretty good credit limit. Now, obviously, with any loan, your credit scores apply, and so you have to fit specific requirements for that entity regarding what they expect in terms of your debt to income, credit scores, and things like that. And we can help you navigate that, either getting your credit score up or seeing how you apply. Creditability Capital, again, is another source. And then Bluevine. Bluevine, they started and they focus on helping small businesses with unpaid customer invoices. Excuse me. And then there's the SBDC Inclusivity Project. That's an own initiative trying to get Black-owned businesses connected to $100 million in funding. And then finally, the Business Warrior Small Business Loans. That's for veteran-owned small businesses. And that's focused on helping veteran-owned small businesses acquire very low interest rate loans for their small business. There are some SBA specific loans. The SBA microloan, loans up to $50,000, can help small businesses, but they can be much smaller than that. If you need to purchase a piece of equipment or something like that, that's smaller. The microloans are a perfect opportunity as a small business to not have to take out something that's very, very large. And then community advantage loans. And they're nice because the funding is guaranteed by the SBA. And that's specifically, they're looking for small businesses that are in underserved markets, whether that's hub zone or areas that are just underserved rural communities. I have a link here that you will have when you receive these slides, and it's a great place to check regarding all the SBA funding programs that are available to small businesses. And I believe that is it. I'm going to turn it back over to Ashley.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Lonnie and Bryan, those were great presentations, a lot of really good information. So we can go into the next slide. So how the SBDC can help you, like we mentioned earlier, we can help you with registrations and certifications, not necessarily doing the work for you, but guiding you through that process, guiding you through applications, giving advice, providing suggestions, giving you different trainings. And also there are women's business centers that are available as well, and language translation services that are available as well, for all of our clients. Okay, next slide. All right, so registrations and certifications. When it comes to this, we can help you discover what programs you qualify for. We can guide you through the registration process, provide feedback on your applications. If you have any questions, help you answer those. And we can continue to point you to different opportunities available to you, as well as various minority, women, and veteran certifications to assist in procurement training and entrepreneurship activities. Insofar as applications, we can help give you feedback on that application preparation, and also give you suggestions on opportunities that you can pursue that maybe you didn't know about. So, okay, next slide. So, advice and suggestions, like I said earlier, training, procurement, technical assistance, which is what one of the things that Lonnie was talking about with PTAC, to assist you with government contracting, federal and state. We can also assist you with the SBA 8A certification that Lonnie also spoke about, and then empowering veteran entrepreneurship, or VBOC. That's something that we can also help you with. And the Women's Business Center also supports small business and entrepreneurs, and they're in partnership also with the SBA and private sector entities. So you have lots of help, lots of resources when you work with the SBDC. And if we can't help you, we can obviously direct you to the right agency or the right person. Okay, next slide. Are there any questions? And Emily, I think you're going to read through some of those questions, and I think David answers some of those. Okay.
Okay, yes, we do have several questions here. So is there any benefit to being certified via SBDC versus the national private certifications? So the SBDC does not give out certifications, but again, we can assist with some of the processes. Any of our presenters want to speak to any more about that? Kind of the benefit to being certified?
Well, I think you answered it correctly, Emily. We don't certify, we help guide, locate, review, suggest, provide feedback. Maybe looking at the SBA 8A program versus a national private certification, you would want to maybe look at the differences in that certification option. And that would be something that we could talk about, because really, as a small business entrepreneur, even a larger business, you kind of know your products and services, you know who your customer base is, and you would have an idea of why we're looking at certification. What is your goal with certification? Because it isn't something you just want to get to plop on your resume. It's really something you want to leverage to expand your business, expand your customer base, and become a supplier, diversified supplier. So we would want to talk through that. And then from that process, sorry, my dog is barking, then we can guide you to the right process, which would be either a national certified or a SBA 8A.
I just would say, just like Lonnie mentioned, you want to kind of understand what procurement opportunities you're going after, whether they're local or state or federal, and then you would want to make sure you understand kind of what that expectation is regarding certification for that procurement opportunity. And so kind of like Lonnie mentioned, understand your business, understand what you're going for, and kind of see for where you want to end up, what are the common certifications that are required or expected for those opportunities.
Awesome. And then kind of along those lines, there's another question about would becoming certified be helpful in getting grants?
Usually it's not a requirement. Usually the grant is based off, I mean, there will be ways to verify that you are, minority owned, women owned, so you would have to submit that paperwork. So certification would make that process easier of verifying, okay, you actually are in the demographic and that they're looking for. But in terms of winning the grant, no. The grant has its own requirement, its own rubric for how they score and award the grants. So just because you're certified, you're not going to have a better chance of winning the grant. It would just make sure it'd be probably easier that you're qualified for the grant. But do not get certified if your goal is only to win the grant. Like Lonnie said, certification is more to help you qualify you for procurement opportunities.
Cool. Let's see. Another question here is, can nonprofits qualify for some of these business grants?
Yeah, there are plenty of grants available to nonprofit entities. So you just have to make sure you read the fine print and see kind of what the requirements are. But there are plenty of grants that are for nonprofit entities. Some are only for nonprofit entities.
All right, and then another question here, talking about all the resources that are available. Are these free or are some of them paid resources?
Well, obviously the SBDC offers no cost one-on-one consulting to specifically address that business's need. Now, the national councils, the national private certification, they do have some fee for getting certified. And once I don't know if they have membership fees. I didn't look into that. I was more focused on the fee for getting certified or recertification. But the resources that we were offering as the Women Business Center, SBDC, even SBA, there's also SCORE, which is retired core of professional entrepreneurs that might assist you. I don't know, Ashley or Brian, if you want to add on to that.
So a lot of like Lonnie mentioned, some of these private certification resources require some sort of fee. There are some free ones out there, but most of them require some sort of membership or ongoing enrollment. So make sure you're going to plan on using their resource and help if you're going to enroll. But all the things that we've mentioned, like the WBC, the SBDC, PTAC or Apex now, the veterans business as well, those are all no cost to the client. So I hope that answers that question.
And on the flip side of that, Brian, I just want to mention, like when I was showcasing some of the corporations that have supplier diversity opportunities for certified minority businesses. Most of those are at no cost. Like getting once you get your certification, and let's say Costco or Amazon or Disney, one of those higher ones, and this is the case in most of the organizations and corporations that have a diversity, a supplier program, getting on their website, attending some of their events to actually do networking. My experience from the research I've done, and I could be wrong, is no cost. It's just that certification. So the no cost side of certification is often getting on the suppliers diversity programs sites and getting in front of those corporations or organizations to be listed. Mhm.
Okay, it looks like we got through all the questions that are in the chat right now. If anyone else has any questions, go ahead and type them in.
Okay, so let's talk about your next steps. Next slide. So some of your next steps would be to sign up with your local SBDC. And if you're in the Shasta Trinity County area, you can talk to Emily. And then set up an appointment with an advisor. And if the advisor that you do get originally can't answer some of your questions or needs to refer you on to someone else, then that is what we will do for you. So next slide. Yep. So the Shasta-Cascade SBDC, this is all of our information. And this will take you to, this phone number will take you directly to Emily. And again, her email and everything is there. If you're looking for your SBDC office in your area, you can go to the americassbdc.org/find-your-SBDC. So that's how you'll find it in your area. And these are different ways to connect with us and also find any information that we have from our local SBDC. So thank you all so much for being here. And you can expect to receive all of these slides in your email. And don't forget to sign up for our YouTube channel and subscribe there. And you can also watch the replay of the webinar there as well. So have a great day, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you for attending today.